Hi, fellow traders. I hope everybody had a great day today. All of you guys that joined us for the webinar last night, I want to thank you guys. It was a lot of fun. I can't believe I answered all of the questions. I don't think I missed any, but I'll be back next week for part two. So any questions you have, you can either email me or you can wait, and we're going to take this to another level next week. So one thing I want to share with you today, and I think everybody should know this by now. Mistakes have the power to turn you into something better than you were before. Growing up, whenever we learn something new, we typically make mistakes and we learn what not to do. So we correct it and we get better. We get better and we get better. But I'm going to twist this a little bit. In trading, what's happening is, especially for new traders and traders who haven't really crossed over the bridge yet, you start thinking that every trade that doesn't work, every loss you take, you think it's a mistake. You think you made a mistake on choosing to stop, or you made a mistake somewhere. And that's just not the case. You can't think that way. Most of the time, when a trade doesn't work, it's not going to be because you made a mistake. It's going to be because the market is just not going to allow it to work. For one reason or another, it's not going to work in the market. So, and the way we kind of figure out whether we made a mistake or not in judgment is not until we start doing our reflection, when we look at it. But if the stock met your criteria, it made it on your watch list, then if you executed the trade the way you were supposed to and it didn't work, you didn't make a mistake in picking a stock. You didn't make a mistake in taking the trade. Don't start looking for reasons on the chart or reasons anywhere else, thinking that I made a mistake somewhere, I need to figure out where it is. I used to be that way. And that was a big detriment to my learning, to the learning process. Because I would sit here and instead of taking trades, second guess myself because the last trade might have been a loss. And I spent so much time trying to find something to justify why something did what it did in a trade. And it's really difficult. I mean, I went through it today. I'm going to share that with you here in a minute. But we have to understand that just because a trade didn't work out, it's not that we made a mistake. So we have to take time, and we don't do it right then. We wait to the end of the trading day. Because if we sit there and try to analyze this thing before the day is over and we're still trying to trade, that's going to cause some issues. So, yes, mistakes have the power to turn you into something better because it helps us grow. But not all losing trades are mistakes. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. That just because your trade lost doesn't mean you made a mistake. All right, so today, the first trade out of the gate was Z. We're looking for opening range breakout. Here's the opening range high here. Once the candle broke the high, I was in. And guess what? Old Mr. Market was playing his games. So right around in here is when my emotions started getting the best of me. And what was happening was I was living and dying on every tick. If it was ticking green, I felt good. When it started to tick red and go against me, I felt bad. And I was getting angry and I was getting frustrated. And I was like, this is the market. This is the way it trades. There's some days that are going to be better than others. And I'm having unrealistic expectations. And I'm saying, if this was going to work, it would have worked by now. So it's going to fail. I'm just going to put my stop in and let it fail. And that's the wrong mindset to have. The mindset I should have had right out of the gate was, you know what? The market is going to be the market. Things aren't going to look the same. They're not going to trade the same. And I should not have expectations of this stock is going to work immediately or it's not going to work at all. You know, I had a mentor one time that used to tell me that. And I realized that was some bad information, because just because the stock doesn't work when you want it to doesn't mean the trade's not going to work. So you have to be patient, trust your technical setups, and, you know, let it go. And so what's the technical stop here? On a 5-minute opening range breakout, if a stock closes below the opening range low, the next candle to make a new low stops you out. This candle didn't make a new low. My finger was on the button to kill it. You know, if you guys were in chat, you heard me say multiple times my finger was on the trigger to kill this. It never took the low out, and we worked above these moving averages, and eventually the trade worked. And so I took profit here, right on key, right at the pre-market high, and you can see the price action slowed. So this was definitely a supply zone here. We definitely had buyers and sellers working against each other here. And then once we cleared it out, this thing bounced and we made the next profit target. This was a daily level here. But guess what? This was a daily level from a couple years ago, because we were on a 52-week high break. You know, so it wasn't that, you know, this level was already up there. It just so happens it was still on the chart from way back when. But took profit there and, you know, let the trade work out. Here, we kind of lost it and pulled back. I had a profit stop in place so that if we fell back below this pre-market resistance here that turned into support, that if we fell back through it, for as far as I was concerned, the trade was most likely dead. So that's why it was a really interesting morning. I went through a whole range of emotions here. A whole range of emotions. But I had to separate. If you guys were listening, I said, when I felt it, I said, I need to separate myself from this. I need to step away from this for a minute because of what I was feeling. That the red ticks were aggravating me. The green ticks were relieving me. And I was going back and forth. And that can really wear you out for the rest of the day. But this trade worked out good. Never really set up again for some trend continuation. Here I couldn't get it here because we were just too close. There was too much support that was really too close, so I couldn't really take any trend continuation on this. And you can see the way the market really worked out today, things just kind of stayed flat, even though we got a scare. We'll talk about that here in a second. As a matter of fact, here it is. So this is another thing that kind of shook my emotions here. I went to lunch like I normally do, and I'm sitting here looking, trying to eat, and all of a sudden I see the market selling off, and all I'm thinking is, why? What's going on? What's happening? Why is it doing this? And I needed to know why, because I was getting ready to kill my swing trade that we got in this morning I was getting ready to kill everything because I'm like, if the market is washing out, everything's going to pot. And there again, I let my emotions get the best of me. But that's a good example to let you know what happens when people trade on their emotions. I was getting ready to sell everything. Everything that I had long, I was getting ready to sell because the market was washing out. But you can't react that way. You cannot react that way. You have to stay calm, cool, and collected. And if the market's washing out, let it wash out. What you need to focus on are the trades that you're in, and you already have accepted the risk from that trade. So let it work. Don't take it off. Don't add fuel to the fire. Stay calm, stay poised, and if your trade does lose support or does lose resistance, depending on which way you're going, then let it. And then you take it off according to plan and you move on. But if it doesn't, you got to leave it on and you got to let it work. Thankfully, I got my wits back. I didn't start killing the trade and I let it go. And the market turned around, as you can see. But this really spooked me, and I was probably still fragile from the morning. And you would have thought that I lost money this morning, but I didn't. It was just one of those things where I guess today I was just a little bit more emotional than I normally am. So the second trade was a trend continuation. You guys that were in the webinar last night, this is 100% what I was showing you guys. Now this bounced, and we never really claimed this level. We never really did. It just kind of turned around and hung around the VWAP, hung around the 9. The whole time the 20's coming in. So remember, these moving averages are telling us where the momentum is going. Where the momentum is still down. Everything's coming in. So we waited for the rejection here. Once we lost the 9 and the VWAP together, I was just going with the 9. I have no love for the VWAP whatsoever, so I ignore it. Doesn't matter to me at all. But the 9 here, once we got under the 9, the next candle to make a new low, we were in. Now, the deal with this stock, okay, the market had a lot to do with it not really selling off, but this stock was on SSR. And when you have a stock on SSR and you have a huge move down like this, don't really expect it to give you a huge move. I figured the worst case scenario, we would come close and retest the lows, but not go anywhere. Had it done that, it still would have been a really decent trade, or excellent trade. But it didn't. It just kind of worked this way around. Finally, I decided to take some profit. And if you were in chat, we talked about. Can you close the door, man? My dog is going crazy over there. But we talked about what we were seeing in level 2 time and sales. There were a lot of volume was going through at the same price, but a lot of orders were going through, but the price was not really moving. It was kind of staying stagnant. So I was like, I just took 2/3 off and said, hey, if it ever gets here, we'll take it off. If not, at the end of the day, we'll just kill it. And that's pretty much what we did. So this is kind of the base hit of the trend continuation. And that's why I say really how well a stock trends, how big of a move you make is going to be a reflection of how the market is, how the market's trading. how much volatility is in it, how many participants do we have, and and then on top of that, this was on short sale restrictions, so I had a lot going against it, but still a decent day with the opening range breakout and then catching this, and both of these were on my watch list. I don't go chasing. Whatever I have in front of me that morning, that's what we're going to use. So on the trend continuation, you can see we only pulled out around 172.48 on 300 shares. Not bad. Not a bad deal, especially on a day like today. Making $172.48 is nothing to sneeze at. And on Z, the opening range trade, that was the big winner today, 366.51. Really, it was a long trade. Thought we could have gotten a little bit more out of it once it started going, but the market just gave up. So 518.34, not a bad day. And we'll add that to what we did on Tuesday. And it just makes that red day on Wednesday disappear. Makes it a distant memory. All right, so this is what I'm gonna cover next week. So I'm trying to get a couple of trades in so I could use as examples as well. This is the all-day hold. Typically, I would have gotten in around 8 or so. But during the school year, I had to take my son to school, so I rarely get to take these all-day holds early. I always have to wait until after 8:30 and wait for the setup to actually happen. And I manage these on a 60-minute chart. The reason being, you don't want to live and die with every tick if you're going to hold it all day. Plus, if you're looking to do an all-day hold, 9 times out of 10, you've got other things to do versus sitting here at your desk or watching a computer all day. And that's basically what we did. We set our stop, and forget it. And we'll go over all the rules and stuff next week of, where the best place to put your stop and all of that. But this is exactly what we do. Get in, and then at the end of the day, we take it off. And that's all we do. And I typically trade these in my swing account because you have to give these more room. The stop on it is not going to be as tight. The stop's going to be a little bit wider. You're going to need to be able to absorb a little bit more risk. Just like not as much as a swing trade, but then not as little as a day trade, a typical day trade. So this worked out really, really good. And really most of the money was made on the first 60-minute candle. We got the bounce, but then that slow sell-off, we never did come back and retake the low. So basically all the money was made there. And it is sometimes that's the way it happens. Sometimes I hit my first target within the first hour. And then the rest of the day, we don't really see much. But we made money. We're not worrying about anything. We're not stressed out. And we come back and we look to add to it the next day. So that was on VIAC. Even though we did do the day trade, the trend continuation, I did do the all-day hold in the swing account. And what did we make on that? 1391.61 is what we got on this. And honestly, we could have gotten out the first 60-minute candle and still made the same amount of money. but it happens sometimes. All right. And this STMP, this one was a trend continuation. I did this in the swing account too, because I was trading in my day trading account. We still had active trades going on there, but I wanted to do some more trend continuation trades, so we have more examples to look at for the current market. And so here was the perfect example of a market. You're getting in, the trigger hit, but the market didn't work. We were looking for the bounce here. I thought we had it, but I didn't wait for this candle to close above or move above this candle. This candle closed above the 9. This should have been the signal candle, not the trigger candle. But I jumped the gun here. I got in on the signal. This should have been the trigger candle. If this didn't make a new high relative to this candle, we're done. And it came back and ended up stopping me out once we claimed the 20. So then we got hooked up again. I did the same damn thing again. I jumped in on the trigger candle. I jumped in on the signal candle, but I still would have gotten in anyway. I would have just had a little bit, maybe the same entry. But it did trigger an entry, but I was already in. We got another pullback, but again, this time we got a candle to close below the 20, but this didn't confirm it, so no exit. It did not trigger an exit. And we stayed in, got one target, got got the second target, and just took it off toward the end of the day. That's all we could do. We were just trying to keep the trend going. 160 was my target, but it almost got there, but it didn't catch my order. But this is more trend continuation, and we got on it 464.12. Again, the market was not really strong today, so the trends were a little weak, but we can still make money. Now that's what I want to get across. This trend continuation. If you don't like momentum, these you can catch after the open and you can ride it. Or if you really like to to get in a little bit earlier, you can do an all-day hold, getting in pre-market and setting everything you need to, and then going about your business. Now, the stops don't work pre-market, so you're going to have to set your stop once the market opens or as soon as the market opens. But you can put your profit targets in already. You just can't put a stop in pre-market. But we'll talk about all that. So pretty decent day. Out of those two trades in the swing account, 18, 40, 13. This is just basic trading. VIAC, 500 shares, but it's a $30 stock. So trading 500 shares was no big deal there. We did 200 shares on STMP, and then I went in 300. I was supposed to do 300 initially, but if I clicked the wrong button, I clicked the wrong button. I have 1, 2, 3, and 500 share position buttons, but got in the regular size this time, and this one was the one that worked pretty good. So really had a pretty decent day trading these, and really the only stress was self-inflicted. It was because I was just a little bit overly emotional today. All right, so the swing trade was R. This is the one from directly from our watch list on Sunday. It actually triggered an entry yesterday, but I didn't have. Sometimes I have trouble getting in a stock if it just automatically triggers. I always like for it to kind of slow down a little bit and then go for the bounce. But we got in today, according to plan, had a pretty decent move up today. Well, here's the price because it was covered on that other one. So I did this so you can see the price. 39.70 or 39.6999. 39.70 is where we got in, and had a really nice day. Not as good as yesterday, but remember the market was a little soft today, so I think this is pretty good. I'm looking for 45. I really think that in the next day or so we could get there. If we get over 42.50 tomorrow, I will take some profit going into the weekend. But if it wasn't Friday, I probably wouldn't take any profit. But if it gets there going into the weekend, that's my plan. Take some off there because we would probably be up about 4% at that point. And then I'd be looking for the other 3% going up to 45 or so. But that's the plan. So you guys know where we're going, where we're headed. So looking for a strong move tomorrow. The market, whatever it does, I want to be ready for it. So, gonna meditate a little bit before the morning starts. All right, so you guys have a great night, a great evening, and I will see you in the morning.